Hi and welcome to this video. What if there was a program where you can practice only your braking input and your throttle input, how to release the brake and so on. There is now. There is the baseline driver training program that we have developed. And in this video you can see a webinar with simwear. It's for the drivers from simwear and Digitraqz, where I have this webinar and I'm introducing the baseline driver training so you can see how you can use it, how your pedal input can be even better, how to adapt to the brake, how to release the brake, and then you will be able to master your trail braking, for example, minimize your wheel spin when you're going on the throttle. So I hope you will enjoy this video and learn a lot so you'll be able to all these things. Thank you for watching. See you. The reason why I have created this baseline driver training program is because I think in motorsport we need some tools to work to help us as a driver, and instead of just doing laps and laps and laps and seeing video and try to compare to the others, then I have created this. So this here is a tool where we can go in and just work with how you adapt to the brake, how you release the brake, how you adapt to the throttle, and also how we can work with our brain and with our eyes. This is the main reason why I've done it, because I can see out in the real world where I teach a lot of drivers and also in the simulators that the way you're driving the car is with your feet, not with your hands. Of course, it also has something to do, but the way that you adapt to the brake and the throttle makes a lot of about the weight transferring of the car. It is so important that the weight transferring, you can decide where the weight on the car should be, because then you get more grip or less grip, and that you were doing with your feet. I'm Tommy Schröder. I'm the founder of Baseline Driver Training. I'm a former professional racing driver, and now I'm a driver coach and a sports psychologist. I've been working with drivers from all around the world, and from beginners up to top professional racing drivers. The mission is to learn drivers to be better, to be more aware of themselves, and to increase their own baseline so they get more consistent and be an even better racing driver. Okay, this here is we're on the front side of the program, and I will just go into it and show you how it's working. So we go into, you have here, when you're mousing over, there will come an explanation of what it is, and I go in here to practice, and up here we have left foot braking, we have right foot braking, we have left foot combined, right foot braking. This is the normal things that are in baseline. So this is the basic. So and braking is, I can show you here. Left foot is if you're using your left foot to brake, and right foot is when you're right foot braking. Here we have here 8 brake zones. So I can change it there. And the green one here is the throttle. So you have full throttle, release the throttle, and the white one is your brake. So when you're coming here, you have to follow this trace up to peak and then release, following it down. I will show more when I start the program. So this is just an explanation of how it's working. We have down here the speed. So the speed of the graph, how it's coming into the screen, we can slow it down and we can speed it up to 2. So I will slow it down, so it'll go a little slow in the beginning because I'm not that fast. And then we have here repetitions. We can take from 1 up to 24. And as a racing driver, you know, it's so important to be consistent, to do the same job over and over and over again. This is one of the reasons why we have 24 repetitions, so you can do the same thing over and over and over again. I will go down to 3 repetitions. That's make it a little easier for me to explain. And here, up here, we have the left foot braking, and here I will take now with the left foot combined. So I go in here, choose the same brake zone. It's the same brake zone, but now we also have the throttle. Okay. So I will start, and then I will just the trace will come into the screen, so you can see the trace is coming in, and I will try to follow it. And here, when I'm activating the throttle, this is the blue one up here, and when I'm activated the brake, this is the right dot. And I need, when I'm braking, I need to go up here to, this is my peak up to 89 bar. Okay, so I will go full throttle, and then I will start the program. Here it's coming in, releasing the throttle, activating the brake, releasing the brake to follow this trace, and then activated the throttle again to see if I can follow that up. And this is, imagine that you're going down the straight on the racetrack, and of course you're going, I will do it 3 times. So then you're going full throttle, coming to the brake point, braking, and then releasing, and you can see it's pretty slow, but that's why I'm going down to 0.5, doing this, and then we'll just do it one more time. And when I'm doing this, I'm using my eyes also to see, okay, now I'm finished braking and I need to start accelerating. And a lot of drivers also with the throttle are struggling. They're going too hard on the throttle. Now we have the result. Any questions about what you just saw? Go up to 24 if you want. So not a problem. Not a problem. Yeah. So you decide. You can take 1 and up to 24. So that's up to you. Yeah. Okay. Good. And up here we have the result. Up here, this is the average. So here I'm my braking point and my time to peak. I will dive more into it. My peak pressure, and this is what I have been doing. And this is the baseline. This is what I needed to do. Over here, this is the coasting. Also, when you mouse over, there will come an explanation. The coasting is when I'm releasing the throttle before I activate the brake. If I activate the brake before releasing the throttle, it will be overlap instead. You can see overlap or coasting. This here have to be as close as possible at 0.0. Throttle release is when I'm here releasing the throttle. And now when I'm going here, double click, then I can only see the trace that I needed to copy. I click here on run number 1, and then I have the data for run number 1. So I can see that. And then you can see here, I was braking 6 meters too late. My time to peak is when I'm here, activate the right one. When I'm activated the brake until I had the hardest peak is 0.2. And the baseline was 0.31, so I'm faster than the baseline. And it's always good to be faster, but sometimes I think in this time I needed to be slower if it was in a car, because I think I will lock up the tires in the beginning of the braking, because I need to get the weight on the front tires when I'm braking. So that would be too hard for me there. And then here I'm 100 bar instead of 90 bar, so you can see it. This is the 90, so I'm peaking too much. And then the coasting here is 0.5 and throttle release. Yeah, question? The traces you see here is just some standard we have. So this here is you as a driver working with your pedal inputs. So you're working to be much more aware. And I will come back to that, because you can load in your own brake traces. So you can take a brake trace and a throttle trace from a GT3, from an F4 car, F3 car, whatever. The data, you can take that and load it in, and I will show you that also. Okay. And then we can also, if you want to dive more into the data here, you can scroll this one here to the left, and this here to the right, and then you can see much more here how it's working. So here I'm lifting off the throttle too late, and there I'm activated the brake. Okay. And also here, when I'm looking, this one is my brake trace. So when I'm looking here, I'm pretty hard up to this point. And then from this point to this point, I am a little slower. You can see it's going a little more to the right instead of just going up. And this is typical for racing drivers. It's such a difficult thing to practice this. So there's in this area here, normally you stop. You're starting to stop your peak, and because you need to stop it and go and then release. And this is really something that's hard to practice, but here you can see it pretty well. and then you can just see here how I'm following the trace down. And also here when I go to the throttle, okay, here I'm activated too hard and then trying to follow it. Okay, and then we can just click 1 and then I take 2 and see, okay, I was run number 2. And looking here, I was much better on the braking point. Still too fast, but here I'm first there I had the peak, so I'm bleeding off in my peaking. So that's, I think that's not so good as a driver. And then we can take here, we can just go in and compare. This was number 3, so we have it there. Okay, so this is how it's working. And now I will go back, and then I will speed this up to 1.1. I'll just take 2 repetitions, and then I will try to do something that I don't want to do normally. I will start braking before I release the throttle. This is typical for people who are left foot braking. They're having problem with this. So I'm starting again. I look to the trace. It's going much faster now. And then one more time, just to make sure that I'm doing it wrong. Yeah, this was a little too much, but just to show you how it was. Now you can see here, it's up here. Now it's overlap instead of coasting. So this one here is really important when you are working as a driver, because if you're braking there and releasing the throttle afterwards, you are not efficient enough with your brake, and you are overheating your brakes also. And when you are sometimes when you're driving, you can do it on a proper way and just have coasting. But when you get overloaded, when you have to overtake someone, when your mental capacity is going down, and you are struggling with it, then the overlap will come instead of the coasting. Good. And then I will go back again, and just then I'll speed it up, and I'll just go in here. I will just take this one off, and then I will take right foot combined instead. And then you can see in a minute, I'll do 2 again. And then you can see here, for the first, it's going really, really fast. And this is, when it's going so fast, I'm working with my reaction time, I'm working with my eyes, and I'm working with my pedal input also to be so fast. Okay? And what you can see here is when it's right foot braking instead of left foot braking, from here when you're releasing the throttle until you activate the brake, there's a bigger gap. And that's because you have to lift your foot off and move it to the brake. And then you can suddenly see here the coasting is much higher, because this is when you lift off the throttle until you brake. So this have to be as fast as possible, and that will be coasting. Okay. Yeah, and I can just show it here. The same on both. So my arrow is the same as what I did. So that's totally the same. Okay. I start with the low speed, and then I'm building it up. And when I'm driving, when I'm start driving also now in iRacing, so when I'm there and I think, okay, I have a problem now. I can feel suddenly I'm having a problem with activating the throttle or activating the brake or releasing it. So I go into baseline, and then I start in the low speed, and I can feel it much more. I can think much more about it, how it is, and then I'm just speeding it up by going from 0.8 to 1.1, and then to 1.3, and so on. So I'm just speeding it up slowly, and then the more repetitions you do, the better it will be. I can show you now also here. We have this button here, import. In here you can go in and you can download your own data. There's here an explanation. It's also on our webpage, an explanation of how you do this with your data. And I can show up here practice, and here I have here we can take Spa, brake zone number 1. It is in the start finish line, so it's the first brake zone after the start finish line. And I'll just speed a little down So here I will show you. It's working as the other way around, totally on this. So you can see this is a graph. This is a trace from. I have one more. This is a trace from an F4 car from the real life Formula F4. So yeah, this is how it's working. And here the baseline time to peak is pretty much, and the reason why is you can see the brake was activated here a little before, just having the feet a little on the brake, and then from there and up it's working. It's the peak. So that's why this baseline time to peak is pretty high. Okay, I will show you how I'm working more with this. I just speed a little down to 1 and only 1 repetitions. I take another graph instead of that, going to left foot again, and say, okay, now I'm only working. I know when I'm working with my peak, how I will do that. So the peak is there, so I have to only go not that hard. And right now I'm only thinking of how to peak. So I don't care if I'm braking too late or if I'm braking too early. I don't care how I release the brake. I only focus on the peak, and everything else it doesn't matter. And this is also one of the main reasons why I've done this, because when you are out on the track, when you have in corner number 4, you have a problem, and then you think, okay, I need to brake a little harder next time I come to corner number 4. But then you have the whole lap, and when you come back to corner number 4, you think, oh, and you have maybe forgot what to do, or you're not on the same place at the track. Maybe you're just a little more to the left or to the right, or the speed is not the same, and then you can't do the same thing again. But you can do it here, the same thing over and over again. So right now, okay, I want to only focus on how to peak. Starting again, focusing on how to peak, and then just let it go, because I don't care about the other thing. And then I can go in and see, okay, I need to only this area here I'm focusing on, and then I can evaluate it and say, okay, time to peak was okay compared to how it had to be. It was a little too hard, and you can see here I was peaking up, and then I was trying to stop my peak, and this is the muscle memory you're talking about. So I just need to stop the peak instead of breaking the peak. So here, and then you can just repeat it and slow it down or speed it up until you're really mastering it. Then I will go to my to the web page. You can see it now. Yes. So we have our web page. We have our web page here, telling all the stuff about it. And we have here training videos also. So, and this is also when we're up here, when you're in your own account, that there will be here about training. You will have so you can see where I have doing some education here about brain training. So introduction to brain training using mindfulness, how your eyes are working, how your visualizations are working. And this here, I'm working with my memory. I'm working with how to visualize. So I'm memorizing the graph and trying to do the same thing again and again and again, but with my eyes closed, because our subconsciousness is working in pictures. And when we are in a race, when we are fully focused, fully concentrated, we are not thinking, we are just doing things. And this is when you can do it, when you can visualize what you want to do and do the same thing, practicing theoretical as practice, that then your foundation is much higher. And I think I can see here the result. Here, this is the old screen that I have. This is not the same as you saw, but I need to do. Yeah, this was 1, 2, and 3. So the blue one here was the baseline that I needed to copy. So here I was breaking too early there. So the more you can do this with your eyes closed and doing the same thing again and again, the better you will be. But there will be a diary book also where you go in and help you as a driver in being much more aware on yourself. How do you activate the brake? How do you concentrate? How focused are you, and so on. So this will also come. Yeah.